Um, Dear viewers, I am Mahfuz from Bangladesh, and today I want to talk to you about the ongoing Middle East crisis, the unfolding events. As you know, the Middle East is termed as cake powder by the Western and by people around the world. Even people in the Middle East also say that Middle East is the cake powder, because you just need a spark. You just need a spark to create flames that you cannot even control. It's a fact. It's not a theory. It's a fact that Middle East is a hotbed. Is a hotbed for many things. It's not a hotbed for terrorism or radicalism only. It's hotbed for many things. And it's the center of the earth, undoubtedly. And then why is Middle East very important? The question is why Middle East is very important, and the answer to the question is any civilization in the last 2000 years couldn't succeed without controlling Middle East. It is a prevalent opinion that if you can control Middle East, you can control the world. You can control the world as a whole. We have seen in Roman Empire and before that the Egyptian Empire, the Babylonian Empire. Basically, human civilization flourished in the Middle East first. If we talk about some organized civilization, some nation state first flourished in Middle East and North African region, in Egypt near about 5,000 years ago, or even more than that, and 3,000 plus years ago in Mesopotamia, the present day Iraq, Iran. Yeah, and then in the surrounding areas. So what I in past told that Roman Empire couldn't succeed without Middle East, though Roman Empire started in Europe, but as you know that Europe and Middle East, although geographically right now seem very far, but not very far comparing to the distance between Europe and America. A huge ocean. There is a huge ocean between Europe and America. But although there is an ocean, there is not an ocean, but there is a sea separating Middle East from Europe, but the distance is not very far. What I was going to tell is the present day Middle East crisis. The present day Middle East crisis basically is a creation of Sykes-Picot contract or Sykes-Picot agreement back in 1920s. We know the fact very well that after the fall of Ottoman Empire to the British and France took all the territory it got from Ottoman Empire and divided between them. The present day Middle East crisis basically started back in 1920s, and then the present generation of these territories, of these countries, are basically suffering from the fault created by some people in Europe, some people basically in France and Britain. And I should put much blame on the British, because the British took some revenge. I don't believe in conspiracy theory, but you have to accept the fact that there are differences and there are hostilities between two faiths. Two faiths in the sense, I should not use the term faith, rather I should use the term cultures. Two cultures. One, the Western culture, secular Western cultures, partially influenced by Christian values, and then the Eastern culture in the sense Middle Eastern culture, hugely influenced by religion. You know that religion is the number one thing or the most important thing in Middle East. It may be a very important thing in America as well, especially in United States of America. We know what people in USA think and what they believe, and then how much religion influences in their public life in USA. We know it very well, but I'm not going to talk about that. So people in USA are also radical to some extent. I shouldn't say to some extent, I should say many people in USA are very radical. Same thing or same situation is in Middle East, is in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, also to some extent the Central Asian country in Pakistan and in Afghanistan. So these are parts of Middle East, and then these parts have seen war and have been suffering from war for a long period of time, undoubtedly. Today I want to talk about the very pressing situations in Afrin, Turkish border. Along the Turkish border, as we know, that Turkey has started its offensive against the Kurds. If you ask me, is Turkey right in starting its offensive against the Kurds, the peaceful, I shouldn't say the word peaceful, rather I should use the word very secular Kurds. If you look at the Kurds and then the PKK, which Turkey consider a terrorist organization, PKK, YPG, or I'm not sure the female version of the Kurdish forces, what the acronym they use. I'm not going to talk about it. I want to tell that Kurds are very secular, and then their leader, which is now in jail, wants to create Kurdistan influenced by secular law and secularism. The state will be separated from religion according to the view of Abdullah Öcalan, currently held in Turkish prison. I want to skip to that and try to focus on the crisis. What is going to happen? It's a very interesting situation. Turkey, which is a NATO ally, is fighting against another NATO ally, or mercenaries of another NATO ally, America. Kurds are being used by America. America has pumped millions of dollars, even billions of dollars of weapons to the Kurds. American special forces are training the Kurds, and the Kurds are right now fighting Turkish forces and forces backed by Turkey. We know Free Syrian Army is backed by Turkey, and Turkish forces have started their offensive into Afrin, and Erdogan has already told that he would extend the operation to Manbij, and people say that if he does this, he is risking a conflict with the American in northern Syria. We know that more than 2,000 US soldiers are stationed in Syria, in northern Syria, and these soldiers are training the Kurds for a long period of time. The conflict is multifaceted. The conflict is multi-dimensional, I should say. In one part, we have seen Turkey bringing down a Russian Su-24 fighter plane, Su-24 bomber of I'm not even sure, Russian fighter plane, and killing its pilots. And we have also seen right now Turkey considering closing Incirlik air base used by NATO and America to launch airstrikes against Islamic State, and for a lot of reasons, for a lot of purposes. So this is tricky. This is a very delicate situation for the Americans and for Britain to steer a very narrow course and to stop any kind of escalating conflict between two NATO allies, the number one and number two NATO allies, in terms of their soldiers' contribution or their armed forces contribution to the entire NATO. Turkey is a huge power in Middle East, and America, we know, the number one superpower in the world. And then if a conflict takes place between these two powers, I believe, and I do not want a conflict to take place between the power, but it's not a distant chance anymore. 2 years ago, it was a distant chance, but right now it is not a distant chance at all. And then things are unfolding in many ways, and things may not go well at the end. Many in the Washington and many in Pentagon and many in American think tanks are calling for halting in relationship between America and Turkey, and many are even calling to kick Turkey out of NATO. Turkey and NATO always did not have very good relationship. We know that. And then many people in Turkey believe that Turkey was not helped by NATO, and Turkey was undermined, and then Turkey's rise was not supported by its Western friends, because many people in Turkey believe that they are on par, they are at par with European countries, but their economy is not as strong as the economies of Britain, France, Germany, and some other European countries. So Turkey wants to get back its position, its empire. Turkey was an empire once, so it wants to get back its past influence, no matter how much the cost for it to bear. And many say that Turkey, the only country in the Syrian conflict, spent a lot of money, already spent a lot of money, and is spending a lot of money, but got nothing. Iran, on the other hand, did not send soldiers to in masses or to a large number, in large numbers, I should say, rather send mercenaries. Iran got a lot of things. Iran is right now controlling Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and to some extent Yemen, and is influenced in many parts of the Middle East is amazing, and this influence is growing. And Iran, although spent a lot of money, but got something in return. But Turkey spent a lot of money, got nothing, rather is facing an existential crisis from the Kurds, from the PKK. This is a very interesting moment, for Middle East, for Turkey as well. That's why Turkey is now moving closer to Russia and Iran. Although Turkey and Russia have fought many wars in past, and Turkey and Iran are also natural competitors, I should say, and many people in Europe know it. The European academics and intellectuals, political pundits know that Turkey and Russia cannot remain good friends for a long period of time, because they are regional adversaries or competitors, and they are hungry for influence in the region. And Europe has always used Turkey, Ottoman Empire, to undermine the rise of Russian Empire, a Russian state. We know the fact, and Turks have persecuted the Orthodox Christians rooted or mainly practiced in Eastern Europe, in Russia. We know it very well, and the Turks have been played by the Europeans after 19th century. We know it. So many people know that Turkey, Russia, Iran cannot remain friends for a long period of time. But right now, it is very essential for Turkey to be allied, to be in alliance with Russia and Iran, because Turkey knows that it is being played by the United States and Britain. United States and Britain have always played with other countries. They gave them promises, but at the end they didn't keep the promises. United States told Turkey that it would not give weapons to the PKK, and then it is a temporary relationship they are having with the PKK. But after that, Turkey knew that United States was gonna stay in northern Syria for a long period of time, and they are going to stay with the Kurds, and they are going to create a kind of like a federal state with the Kurds, and that is totally unacceptable to the Turks, and they cannot accept it. It's not a problem of Erdogan. Erdogan is a funny person, although to some extent, but he knows, he understands, he has some gut. Though he couldn't play, or he didn't play the politics very well, always he made a big blunder by being in alliance with USA at the onset of the Syrian civil war. He should not listen to Britain. He shouldn't listen to Britain, France, and later USA. Rather, even if he listened to, he could have done it in another way. He could have done it in another way. When Islamic State was rising, and when Islamic State took control of Raqqa and Mosul, immediately he should have launched attack on this terrorist organization. If he did so, if he had done so, right now Turkey would have controlled Raqqa, Mosul, and many parts of Iraq and many parts of Syria. It could have again made a huge empire or bring back some of his territorial lands it lost to Britain and France back in World War One. But it didn't do so, and it lost the opportunity. Right now, it is in an existential crisis to keep its border intact and not to let the creation of another independent state carved out of its territory. That's all from today. Thanks for listening.